Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful day with us on Live with Lloyd. I am your host, astronumerologist Monday. Excuse me, astronumerologist. Today is Monday. It is the last Monday of this month of July. It is amazing how fast this year has been going. But anyway, I want to thank all of you for joining us, joining the Live with Lloyd family, as I would like to refer to it. I have a very beautiful guest, Portia Cooper, who is a mindset coach. Actually, she's a money mindset coach. As you know, hold on, let me do this, get this straight. Okay. All righty, let me do this. Okay. Here we go. Um, anyway, thanks very much for joining us. I do have a mindset coach that's coming on. As you know, this past Wednesday, I have one talking about mental health, some of the challenges related to it, whether diet, mindset, things like that. One of the other things that tend to be a challenge in our community is also the way we look at it. Money. Uh, Money is the root of all evil. Little things we've been told, which is probably why for us to have such a purchasing power or power purchasing or whatever the case is, we seem to really collectively don't have the kind of thing that reflects the value of us collectively in terms of the dollars. But before I do that, though, let me tell you that this week's show is brought to you by Nicholas Brooklyn. Hank Rosinson and I were there yesterday at 1396 Fulton Street. It was great. There might be a guest that I might have on as a result of being there. Um, and in fact, she's going to be on the show next month, which is August, right around the corner. Then Miss Manifest on Purpose, who deals with the subconscious mind, who comes on every Monday and Wednesday mornings. You can go to YouTube and Kimberly, KIMBALEY.com. Also, Riza Islam, his intellectualpowers.net supplements. And in fact, when you order, definitely let him know what the code is numbers so you can save yourself a couple of dollars. He will discount it. Thank him. And also, King Simon, is having a ancestral tribute to Baba de Gregory coming on October the 12th, which is kind of right around the corner too. But anyway, before I bring on my guest, let me tell you about the forecast for today. It is Monday the 29th. The sun is in Leo. The moon went into Gemini at about 5:28 this afternoon. Anyway, it's a 6 universal month, a 1 universal week, an 8 universal day. And I think I'll explain how I'm doing all of this because see, people seem to say, how do I do it? But it's simple. But anything once you know becomes simple. But when you don't know it, is it? Anyway, Capricorns, Aquarians, and Librans, and those that are born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th of the month, well, this is your day. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my very special guest, Portia, Portia, as she calls herself. How you doing, Portia Cooper?
Doing well, Lloyd. How about yourself?
Fine, thank you. You are a money mindset coach.
That's right.
How did you arrive at that? Because that seems to be such a challenge in our community.
Tell me about it, right? Because I had my own challenges to work through. And that's what brought me here. To be honest with you, I struggled with money like everyone else. I had too much month left at the end of my money, right? Had get paid on one week and didn't have any money the next week. And I had to really dig deep within myself to figure out why is that? Why is it that I can get a $10,000 check and then the next month I don't have anything to show for it? So just dive a little bit deeper into my habits. What I realized is that I had a baseline. Just like your thermostat. You set your thermostat in the house to be 70 degrees, and anytime it goes above that, what happens? The AC kicks on and brings the temperature back down. Well, that's exactly what was happening to me because I didn't know who I was with money. As soon as I got it, I had to get rid of it because that's who I was. I was the person that was constantly struggling. So I had to create a struggle situation in order for me to feel normal because that was my baseline. And I know some people can resonate with me because you work a job, let's say a sales job, and the commission is sky is the limit. Well, let's say you have a habit of thinking that $70,000 is all you need. $70,000 is good. So as soon as you hit that $70,000 threshold, what you do? start laying back, right? You stop working. You don't want to work anymore, or you find yourself in a situation where you're like, ah, I'll put it off because you felt like you've made what it is that you needed to make. Never thinking, what if I made 100,000? And someone blew my mind one time when they said, how much is it that you want to make within a year? And I said, well, 100,000. What if you could make 100,000 in a month? Right? That just really blew my mind because I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. Now it's 12 times.
making right. I never thought about making 100,000 in a month, but we limit ourselves by the knowledge that we have. And to be honest with you folks, let's be honest, we all were taught to be poor, right? Our parents taught us to be poor, taught us lack consciousness, taught us to think in terms of not enough. Oh, mom, I want this. Oh, we don't have money for that. I like to get this. Oh, I can't afford that, right? And so these little programs, as you're growing up, tend to build up in your life, and you become a result of your thoughts, right? Where you are today are a result of whatever you were thinking yesterday, a month ago, even a year ago. So when
You,
it comes to finances, that's something that I feel like we need to have a better relationship with. And so my question to most people is, what is your relationship with money? Is it a hot lover, or is it someone that you reject and you shun, you don't want to see?
when you say that too, because I remember my elders, the aunts and uncles, money don't grow on trees.
Right.
Always
What's a few
something.
more?
Money is the root of all evil. And so, well, let me ask you this. Why is it some people can tend to generate a lot of money, but most of us in our community are not able to do it? Now, it's not every person in our community is poor. Some are very well to do. Have you been able to determine what distinguishes that from those that have been making money in our community and where the majority of us are not?
Well, to be honest with you, we as black folks, we're consumerists, right? We make up most of the amount of money that's spent here in America. Think about it. Black women, we spend how many thousands of dollars on hair products, per year. And a lot of the stuff that we're buying is not even from our own people, which is a shame. But it is what the cycle is. We know how to spend money, but we don't know how to save, and we don't know how to invest. And to be honest with you, we're so far behind. You know how long the stock market's been around? For 100 years or plus, right? You know
Yeah,
how many
yeah.
black people actually invest in stocks? Small amount, right? Very small. I think it's like 3% of the black population actually invests in the stock market.
Wow. Hmm.
Very small number. And that's mind blowing to me, especially given the fact that we live in a day and age of information where if you want the information, all you got to do is go get it. It's right there at your fingertips. And it's free.
Yeah,
Most
nowadays,
cases.
all you got to do is go to YouTube and go type in YouTube tutorial about whatever you're looking for. Because my cousin told me there's almost no excuse not to learn anything now if you have a computer.
That is true. And also keep this in mind too, Lloyd, the fact that we are spending money, but where is it going? Are we buying income producing assets, or are we just buying the latest Prada, Chanel, Gucci bag, whatever, right? Something that costs you a lot of money, but doesn't give you any value in return. And so we have to be intentional with our money, especially if we intend to grow it, especially if we tend to leave some behind for our loved ones, right? We have to be mindful and intentional with how we spend our money, and also identify what habits are blocking us. Because let me be honest with you, to make more money is not going to solve your money problems. Because if that was the case, then we can all make more money and we all be saved from our money problems. That's not it. And also keep this in perspective. A lot of people win the lottery, right? Millions of dollars, and wind up broke just a few years later. And you're like wondering, where did this money go? Because they didn't have the proper money mindset,
I
right? So
was
you can
told
make $1 million,
that
but
a
if you
lot
can't
of
keep,
times these people that win these multi-million dollar jackpots almost within 5 years, if not sooner, are right back where they started from.
mm-hmm,
And you
mm-hmm.
would think that with them making that kind of money, they would be what they call set for life, maybe investing it or buying precious metal or whatever the case is, diversifying it, letting money compound, the magic of compound interest or something, as they say. Um, I think that's very interesting. Well, let me ask you this, money mindset coach. How does one start? How does one start to get off the traditional way of thinking, the way we've been programmed, to a newer way of thinking so people can have more? Because the way they're talking about, do you know, since 1971, the dollar bill has lost 80% of its purchasing power.
Yes, sir. And that's another thing I wanted to bring
80%.
up. You can only
Yeah.
buy 13% of the goods and services you were able to buy in 1972 with the same dollar. 13%. So think about that.
Wow.
And the dollar is getting ready to be even more devalued, right? Because they keep playing with our economic system. So to be honest with you, dollars are not valuable anymore, right? We want to say that, and this is how they screw you because they want to tell you things like, oh, well, if you buy a home, then this is going to be the biggest investment that you always will make. Your home is not an investment, right? A colleague and I were just talking about that earlier today. Like, your home is not an investment, that's a liability, right? Because that's a bill that you have to pay in order to keep the roof over your head. You know what an asset is? A rental property, right? Because then you're making money off of that property and you can do whatever you want with the money from that asset. So we need to get more in line and in tune with who we are with money in our relationship. Going back to the lottery winner, right? The reason why people win millions of dollars and wind up 10 times more broke than what they were before they won is because of that baseline I told you about. That homeostasis is what we like to call it, right? That thermostat that says, oh, you're getting too hot, right? You're going above this threshold level. We got to bring it back down. And so you start finding ways to sabotage yourself in order to go back to what you deem or what you consider subconsciously as normal, right? Because we all have what we call a normal barometer in our life and what you deem to be above and below average or normal or whatever that is, right? Everybody has a different way of seeing things. So
Hmm.
your level may be, I make $35,000 a year and I'm good. And some people are fine with that. And that's great if you're able to live off of $35,000 a year. But let's be honest, a lot of us can't, especially with the high cost of rent, goods and services going up, gas, right? And then the dollar becoming less. And the way that they like to spend it in the media is to tell you, oh, well, the cost of gas and the cost of bread and the cost of milk have gone up. No, it's not that the price of those products have gone up. It's the fact that your dollar is worth less. And so it's going to take you more dollars to afford whatever it is you're trying to buy.
That makes so much sense. And you know what I was often told, that the very wealthy looks very unassuming when they're walking around, and we in the community will buy the latest Gucci's. Our babies will get them some products or something that won't even, the little baby don't even know what they got. It's almost as if we do it for appearance sake. So I had a thing. I think there's some bag that women wear now that want to get. It's about like $4,000 for the
The
bag.
Birkin bag, yeah.
What is it called?
The Birkin bag,
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So the point
10,000
is
plus.
this: I would rather have a regular pocketbook with $4,000 in it than this Birkin bag with $1 in it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? We'll buy a $2,000 purse and have 2 cents in it, right? But as long as the bag looks good, right? You don't need to know what's in it or how much is in my bank account or how I'm able to afford this, because a lot of us are making payment plans on a lot of things that we can't afford. And so then I challenge you to look at things that you want to buy and how you want to buy these things. Instead of equating it to money, let's equate it to time. So let's think about this. So let's say I work at a fast food restaurant and I get paid $15 an hour. And
Hmm.
let's say I want a pair of Nike shoes, right? These shoes cost $150. So that means I'm going to have to work 10 more hours, right? 10 times 15 is 150 in order to get these shoes. So instead of looking at the shoes being $150, I'm going to look at it as it costing me 10 hours, right? Because it's going to cost me
Ah,
10
I see what
hours
you're
of
saying.
work
Hmm.
in order
Hmm.
for me to afford these shoes. Now, given the fact that I'm only making $15 an hour, I'm assuming that, that's my regular paycheck is barely enough to cover my bill. So now how am I going to afford these $10 an hour, 10 hour shoes now, right? So maybe I have to work 10 more hours in order to afford what it is that I'm trying to obtain. But most people don't think of it like that because if time actually equals money, then we need to be looking at how much time do I have to spend in order to buy what it is that I'm trying to afford.
Should we do that when we are paying our rent, paying our bills, other bills like that? Look at it in terms of the time that it would take to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because that way you'll know how much you're going to have to work in order to afford your living standard, right? Because certain people love to live beyond their means, and if you want that high-rise condo overlooking the lake right? That $2,000 a month condo, blah, blah, blah. Well, you already know either you're going to have to find a better paying job or find something supplemental income, right? How many hours is it going to take for you per month to maintain that lifestyle?
Well, I know, see, you're in another state, but here in New York City, just a little studio is practically 1,500 plus a month. We're
Mm-hmm.
not even talking about a one bedroom, two bedroom, three bedroom. And if a
You're talking about a
person,
closet
yeah,
for 15.
yeah, seriously. And if a person misses 1 month, then they got to come up with 3 grand. Then if they miss another month, then they got to come up with 4 grand, $4,500. So I mean, and the way I used to hear my parents talk about their parents, it used to be 25% of your income should be for rent.
That's right.
That's what
That's
it
right.
used to be. Now, overwhelming majority of what one pays goes simply to keeping a roof over your head.
And that's your minimum, right? So your utilities, your living expenses, that's the minimum amount of money that you have to make each month in order to keep a roof and food in your stomach, right? Roof over your head and food in your stomach and possibly clothes on your back. I mean, I don't know how much you're making. But looking at it in that perspective, then that means that anything else that I want outside of these living expenses, then I need to probably work more hours or find some way to increase, right, how much I'm making per hour. That way I don't have to. So going back to the $150 Nikes, and I'm only making $15. Well, if I go find a job making $20, well, then that's less time that I have to work, right, in order to to buy these shoes. And ka-ching, if I'm able to get a job working $50 an hour, because now I only have to work 3 hours in order to afford the shoes that I'm after. So we need to really look at the way we view money and in our perspective and really equate it down to how much time am I willing to invest to acquire the lifestyle that I'm trying to achieve.
How does one get started, especially when one hasn't been thinking like that for decades?
That's what I'm here for, Lloyd, right? Now I'm here to help guide the people into that. And you know what my main mission was? And I just want to help our folks, right? And it's such a shame that we have been in this country for what, 200 plus years.
Uh-huh.
And we don't even measure up to the amount of worth that some of these immigrants that have come over to this country and built, right? And it's just ridiculous that we have these mindsets that block us from achieving the goals. Now, I'm not to say that's everybody because I can name you 6 Black billionaires right now,
Sure,
right? But
sure.
they are not um,
They're on the far end
norm.
of the Richter scale, though, by comparison.
Exactly, but they're not the norm. They're
Yeah.
not the norm. And the every average day African American person or person of color is struggling from paycheck to paycheck, and it's because they live in a lack mindset. Oh, there'll never be enough. This is too high. I can't afford this. Oh, I shouldn't buy that, right? Or I'm gonna put my children before myself, right? And so what we're doing is creating more situations of lack by attracting it with our mindset. Because think about this, your subconscious mind is like a genie, right? It's only going to grant you whatever comes out your mouth as far as the wishes go. It's not going to question what you're asking for. And if you keep saying, I want this, I want a job, I want $100,000, I want this. Okay, well, Genie's gonna say, okay, guess what? I'm gonna give you the want, and then you're gonna be left with the want. Changing your perspective to I have, because once you claim that you have it, well, it has no choice but to manifest in your life eventually. Now, there is going to be a little bit of lag because we have to get the energy right as far as your emotions and your feelings at that time. But it is possible for you to achieve whatever it is that you want to in your life by giving the right mindset and right thinking, right? Not
Because,
right or wrong, but right thinking.
because you can't say, I have no money, because that's
No,
exactly what will be created.
I'm broke. That's the number one thing that, oh, I'm broke. Are you broke? Or can we put that in a better frame? And that's what I taught. Another thing I teach is reframing, right? Reframing the words that are coming out of your mouth, because how you talk to yourself actually is the way that you're going to conduct yourself and the way that things are going to manifest in your life. So if you're always saying you're broke, you're going to be doing broke ass activities, right? Which is, oh, I don't have enough for this, I don't have enough for that, I can't go out, I can't go out to eat. What's wrong with treating yourself every now and again, right? And it's fine to have a budget, but me personally, I feel like a budget is more restrictive. I like using the word spend plan. A spend plan means I have a plan to spend my money intentionally for the month. So that means that I intend to spend, right, this amount on my rent and my living expenses. I tend to spend this amount on entertainment, food, whatever, and I tend to spend whatever else, right, on whatever I allocate the rest of the money for, which should be savings. Now, I'm not a big fan of leaving your money in the bank because that is just total no no. And that's another thing that we were taught was to, oh, well, put your money in the bank, it'll be fine, it'll grow there. Your money will never grow in the bank, folks. I don't know if you
Not
know
at the
this,
way
right?
they're getting their cut. No. Mm-mm.
Right, right. These bankers, man, they are greedy. And you know what happens when you put your money in the bank? They go and utilize that money for their own gain. And so while you're making 0.01% on your return, they're making 10%, right, off the loans that they lend out your money for.
Let me ask you this. And the time of my parents and their parents, it used to be a dollar bill used to have the word silver certificate on it. Now the dollar bill that we have in our pockets to carry around says promissory notes. And there's this phrase, promises are made to be broken. And looking at the way the economy is that may explain some of the lack of power, purchasing power that the dollar has had since.
Well, we live in a debt society, right? America has been a debt society ever since the Federal Reserve literally hijacked our currency, right? Our dollar. So every dollar that's in circulation, a portion of it is due back to the Federal Reserve, who's a private corporation that, yes, folks, they're not federal, kind of like Federal Express, right? You know, Federal Express ain't federal, but they got federal in their name too. Right? So the Federal
Yeah.
Reserve is the same thing. And it's held by private corporate sponsors, right? Who in turn lend us the money back for us to use. And then we have to pay them back in the form of what? Income taxes. That's where that comes from. There's a website you can go to called usdebtclock.org, and it'll show you the running total of how much this country is in debt. And it's trillions of dollars. And that
Yeah,
number
they
keeps
said just the
increasing.
credit cards alone is in trillions and trillions. You know what's interesting? I read something recently. They said the average American, see, there's a way when they talk about black people, they're very
Average. We love
specific.
that term,
It
right?
says the average American don't have $2,000 available at their disposal in case of an emergency.
That's
So
true.
what does the average black family have at their disposal?
Two nickels, maybe. I don't know, right? Because a lot of us are struggling to survive, especially in these times of inflationary times that we live in. Ever since C-19, as they call it, we as a community have yet to really flourish from it, where we're still stuck in that past. And that's another reason why I wanted to come on your show, is because I feel like we're missing out on opportunities that are happening now. We're still stuck in those old paradigms, right? We're still stuck in that Piscean age where you have to work hard to obtain anything. It used to be you had to have a dollar and a dream. But if you think about it now, we have now shifted into a new age, which is age of Aquarius. So we are now about the information age, and it's not a dollar and a dream. All you need is a dream now. You don't even need a dollar because Chat GTP and all these other AI tools are out there for free. So long as you have a vision, guess what? You can make some money.
Here's
So
okay, go ahead. Because see,
no, but
now
I'm
you
just
got
saying.
me
So
thinking.
all
Go ahead.
all we need is just a little imagination and some creativity, and you got that.
Question. I hear nowadays that the younger generation are making tons of money just on Instagram or these media sites. Is that true? And if so, how are they doing it? And why can't those from the older generations used to 9 to 5 mindsets do the same?
Because they have not embraced the new age and time. Right? We all get stuck in it. And I mentioned this in my book. My book is called From Fiat to Digital, which is talking about upgrading your money mindset. One thing that I mentioned was the fact that, remember, the banking system is always being evolving as far as its technology. Before we had debit cards, we had what? Checks. And those who didn't want debit cards continue to write checks until checks start being phased out. Now, who takes checks now? Right? Not that many
Very
people I
rarely.
know.
Very rarely.
I don't know
That's
anybody that
true.
take checks. Me, you do. What about online banking? Before 20 years ago, a lot of people didn't trust doing banking online. I'm going to the bank still. And what's happening now? Now there's so many more banks that only do online banking. A lot of branches have closed up. So if you were that person just strictly going to the bank, well, you're screwed now because now everything has moved online. And so this is what I'm trying to get my people to see, is that things have always been evolving in the financial system. You have to be quick to embrace these new changes, because guess what? Once they start changing things, that changes forever. We never go back to the old way of doing things. We never do.
Yeah, like writing checks all the time. A check is almost rare
Exactly.
nowadays.
Exactly. Who's taking them? Who's taking the check? Right? You try to go write out a check at a grocery store nowadays, they're gonna be looking at you sideways.
That's
So
very, very interesting.
yes, and so that's why I'm trying to get everybody on the same page with upgrading their money mindset. So if you are that person still stuck in that old paradigm, thinking you got to work hard, fingers to the bone, 9 to 5, and for somebody else, let's go ahead and throw that out there, for somebody else, then we need to talk, right? Because it ain't got to be like that for you, right? I see people working less than 4 hours in a week and still pulling in, thousands of dollars a month. And it can be done. Like I said, you don't even have to have a product these days, right? You just have to have an idea. And as long as you have an idea and you can follow through, then guess what? You can start making the money. But we have to see where your mindset is and check your money mindset barometer, right? Where are you on that thermostat, as far as how much you think you can make?
In other words, if you have a limited expectation, you won't go any higher than that. That's what you're saying.
It all starts and begin with your thoughts, right? As soon as you have a thought for something, if you say, "Oh man, that'll never work," well, guess what? It ain't gonna work, because you're never gonna work it to see if it works.
Okay, now there's another thing. Since they said supposedly there's a weakening of the dollar, the way it's been projected, there are two other things that have come up. One is cryptocurrency. What is
Hmm.
your thought on that? The
I
banks are
think,
knocking it, yet the banks got their hands knee deep in it.
see, and this is what I'm trying to tell. This is why I'm out here, Lloyd, right? To tell the people, hey, crypto's coming, right? Y'all better get prepared, get your wallets. Like, this is why I am here, because we are on the precipice of a big change when it comes to our financial system. The dollar is dead. That's the reason why they had dead presidents on those dollars, right? Because they represented the dead. Cryptocurrency is the new economy. And if you don't think so, well, you need to go take a look at what some of these bigger institutions like BlackRock, Grayscale, even some of these politicians and whatnot, everybody is getting to the digital currency space. Visa, right? They already have the framework already laid out on how they're going to switch over their financial system to the blockchain. And I mean, everything, even real world assets, real estate, contracts. And unfortunately, folks, I hate to tell you, some jobs are going to be phased out because of this new technology. So now is even more imperative for you to get off your butt, right? And start figuring out ways where you can sustain you and your family without the need of a job or having to work hard
In
and
fact,
working from anywhere.
in fact, you wrote this book. Can you explain this? You can download a copy too.
Yeah, that's only available in the PDF version right now, or you can go to Amazon and get the Kindle version if you would like to do that. I'm going to get the printed copy out soon. But yeah, that is the book. It's called From Fiat to Digital. So the title is right there. It's upgrading your mindset from the old way of banking and start thinking of ways of self banking, and also how to invest your money into a newer space that's going to give you 10x on your return. Right now in the crypto market is the greatest opportunity that anyone at this point can be alive to have, because there's so many opportunities for you to get in, buy some tokens and come up, right? So that could be one way, but there's so many other avenues. There's self-banking, where you can stake your money and have it yield interest for you on a daily basis or monthly basis and let it compound. You could lend your money out and make money, lend your tokens out and make money off the interest. You can take out a loan and discharge debt, all different kind of ways, all through this crypto space. So
Really? And this is the
yes.
book that they can download.
Yeah, but the book is very beginnerish. I don't want nobody thinking it's advanced. Very beginnerish. This is very
Yeah, but
beginner
that's how
friendly
you got
book.
to start. You got to crawl
Yeah.
before you walk.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get more people engaged in the space, and also get them to be a little more comfortable with some of the terms and terminology, and get familiar with how to keep yourself self secure, right? Your money secure while dealing with crypto, because there are scammers out there. There's always somebody out there trying to come between you and your money, right? I mean, there's that just
And that's on
since the
a
beginning of
daily
time.
basis. Amen on that one. That's like constant. Is that why you're putting this seminar together?
Well, this is the seminar. The seminar is not based on the book. The seminar is to help those who need to overcome limiting beliefs about money and obtain their financial goals. So if you see here, it says attend this workshop. If you're struggling to make ends meet, if you believe there's not enough money or you're not able to obtain your financial goals. So I wanted to make the class affordable, and we will have 3 weeks of group calls follow up after the workshop because I want to make sure that people are implementing the tools that they're using in the workshop and that they're actually making the changes to progress in their life, right? Because all it is a matter of shifting how you see things, right? Your mind is where everything begins and ends.
And you know what's interesting? Speaking of that, there's some people actually walk around thinking there is not enough money. There's always money.
There's more money than there is air, right? If you think of it, there's more money than there are grains of sand on the beach, right? Who said there wasn't
But
enough
is
money?
that
Because it's
part
not
of the
flowing to you?
limiting belief that runs in our community?
Well, haven't your parents told you that? Think about it. Your subconscious mind is set by the age of 7. So by the age of 7, I'm sure your parents have told you no. If you wanted a toy or something, they told you they couldn't afford it. We did. So
Yeah,
let's go
yeah,
back to my childhood, for
yeah.
instance. So I
Hmm.
had one of the most embarrassing things happen to me when I was in the first grade. You know, in the first grade, we would throw parties. My mom, for some reason, would never give me supplies for the party. And so my teacher pulled me to the side and told me, hey, look, if you don't bring anything to this next party, then you're not going to be able to participate, right? So called me out for not bringing anything. I'm not in control of how money works in my family, so I had to go to my mom and be like, well, look, the teacher's telling me I can't participate if I don't bring anything to the party. So that made me feel like I was lacking, right? I wasn't good enough or wasn't like the other kids. And I didn't realize that I even identified with that at that time. But growing up, that's who I became, right? The person who didn't have enough or didn't have the resources and whatnot. And we're
That's
shaped by
deep.
that.
That's deep. That's and there's probably countless ways that we've been affected like that.
That's what
I
I'm
don't have
saying.
enough money. I can't do this. There's not a, something always having a, maybe that's why the Reverend Ike was so popular during his day, that they couldn't
Hmm.
stand him because his whole thing was about money, and you got to see it in your mind, and he says you don't spend money, you circulate money. His whole attitude was totally, totally different about money. So he was kind of, because we were taught in that days in the '60s, you'll get your money by and by in the sky and all that stuff. But
That's
his
right.
thing was no, 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 no. While you living and breathing, you can get it. So
The
it's,
kingdom of heaven is here on earth, right? You can have your own kingdom, but the heaven of hell starts with your mind.
can you repeat that one more
I
time,
said
please?
the kingdom of heaven is here on earth, but the heaven or hell is all in your mind. So you can choose to see things in a positive light, or you can choose to see things in a negative light. You're creating your own heaven or hell, is what I'm saying. But the kingdom of heaven is already here. If you choose to see it already and believe that it's here, then you can be a part of it.
Now, this person, Mo Bless, says invest $500 per month, and the S&P 500 for 30 years, you'll hit 1 million.
But look how much time that's taking you, 30 years. That's what I'm saying. In crypto, you invest 500 per month, you'd hit that within less than 3 years, and depending on how well that coin does. And there's some tokens out there that are not even hitting their previous high. Like let's say one, for instance, it's Internet Computing Protocol, which is ICP. At its all-time high, it was $700. Now that coin is trading for a mere $9. So why
Interesting.
not go and buy a whole bunch of that and wait for it to go back up? That's my whole point. We're looking at antiquated ways of growing money. Just like, okay, for instance, when I was 17, I was head of a social group for teens. And we had a group speaker or a guest speaker come in from one of those investment groups, Edward Jones, one of them. And he told me at 17, if I invested this amount of money, then by the time I turned retirement age, I would have $1 million. And even at 17, I didn't feel like that was right. I just didn't think that me spend even if I saved $1 million today, right? Let's say if I was 80 years old and I had a retirement plan from the 80s and now I have $1 million, how much is that $1 million now worth given the fact of inflation? What, 750 now? So I saved $1 million, but that million is not going to cover the same amount of expenses that I planned for back in 1984. Do
That
you
was
see what
worth
I'm
a
saying?
million. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Correct, correct. Because I based my retirement plan on what things cost in 1984, not what it was going to be in 2024, because I had no idea that inflation was going to increase by such a rate. So, what sense would it make to sit there and save a pile of money when the money is going to be worthless at the end of the day? What we need to start focusing on is investing the money in an income producing assets, whether that's crypto, real estate, whatever is going to pay you on a monthly basis, right? And then have that money coming in. And you don't have to worry about saving money.
Well, listen, isn't that kind of deceptive the way they used to say, well, we're going to raise the minimum age to X number of dollars in 3 years? Yet milk is not going to be the same in 3 years. Bread is not going to be the same in 3 years. So, yes, 3 years will come and you'll get that, but you're right back where you started. To
That's
me,
my point. So, if you started your retirement plan in 84, good luck, right? 40 years ago, things were way less than half of what they cost now. So if you were pricing your goods and services, how much rent and all that stuff's going to come, it's not going to work.
I have another question. But we
Hmm.
talked about the cryptocurrency. What about other things I'm hearing like precious metal, gold, silver, palladium, platinum? What about that?
That always has intrinsic value. So you always want to hold on to gold, silver, those kind of metals. And what's funny is it seems like everybody is realizing that, because look how much silver has increased in price within a year. It's more than double.
I
Silver
was
was like
told.
$17 last year. Now it's like almost 40.
And,
So
and gold
obviously
has done
those
the same
metals,
thing too. Gold was about
exactly.
2 years ago, $1,200. Now it's like about on average $2,300.
Exactly. And remember, back in the early 2000s, gold was cheap. Everybody was buying gold, selling gold because it was so cheap at that point. And
Well,
so,
that's interesting because in the time of my mom and dad, gold was worth $37 an ounce.
see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? So
That's
it's always
deep.
going to grow, and it's always going to grow in value. But the one thing that Bitcoin has over gold is its limitations, because we know that there will only be 21 million Bitcoins ever mined. And each halving, which we just went through, a halving happens every 4 years, even less will be produced.
Hold
So
on.
we're going
Can
to
you repeat that all over again?
Okay, so with crypto, with Bitcoin specifically, and let me just talk about Bitcoin specifically, there will
Okay.
only be 21 million Bitcoins minted. Only, that's it. So at that time, Bitcoin is going to surpass gold as being the most valuable object. Why? Because of the scarcity of it. It will never be any more made. That will all be it, and that's why the price of Bitcoin is going to skyrocket, right? Compared to gold. Gold can be found anywhere, right? We may not have mined all the gold that's here on Earth, right? We don't even know where all the gold reserves are. We don't, right? So they're still finding gold here and there. So we don't really know how much gold is actually out there. But we can say definitively that there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins mined. That's it. So once all that's out, that is it.
Is this where they can go to kind of get a primer in terms of understanding the basic concepts of it?
Yes, this is very beginner level. I'm walking you through just the basics, what a centralized exchange is, what a decentralized exchange is, how to keep your wallet secure. Also talking about how banking was done in the past compared to how the new way is going to be done, right? And the reason why we need to update our mindset, and give you some tools like reframing, which was another technique that I give my clients, is to take a thought and reframe it. Like, for instance, Lloyd, so we all know that we're multifaceted beings, right? Well, we
Hmm.
have the duality in us. And so if I want to lose weight, I have a fat version of myself and I have a skinny version of myself. That's just how it works. Now, am I going to listen to the fat version of myself and not exercise, eat ice cream, right? Have a horrible diet? Or am I going to listen to the skinny version of myself, right? Exercise, eat right, cut back, fast, whatever it is that I need to do in order to achieve that goal. So we all have that. You've seen it in the cartoons, right? As the devil and the angel. We all have two spectrums within us. That's what makes us live in this duality. So, which end of the spectrum are you going to lean more towards? Are you going to lean more towards the broke you, or are you going to lean more towards the more empowered and rich you, right? The wealthier you. And then, if that is the case, if I'm leaning towards the wealthier version of myself, then what habits does the wealthier version of myself have, right? What things are the wealthier version of myself doing in order to create that wealth? And we have to look at that as a model in order for us to get to the next level in life, right? Because you can listen to the negative version of you, like I said, which would be the one with no money, and you can stay there because that's the person you've been listening to all along. Or you can choose to listen to this other side of you that knows, right, that this is the things that it's going to take in order for you to achieve whatever goal that it is. And I don't care if it's losing weight, stop smoking, whatever it is. You can create two versions of yourself. Write down what this new version of you that you want to achieve looks like and what that person is doing. And then from there, look at the habits and the processes and not the outcome. I think we get a little hung up on the outcome, and the outcome ain't going to be what's going to get you to the end. What's going to get you to the end are the processes, the steps that you took. And that's the things that you need to focus on. So if my goal is to lose weight, I'm not going to continually step on the scale each day. But what I am going to do is measure how many times I'm exercising, what was I eating that day, right? Because those are the habits and the process that's going to get me to the result that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very, very interesting. As you see on the banner, she is a money mindset coach. She's an author, a lecturer, and also she has a couple of sites, Bloom Life, bloomlife.me. Also, her IG is bloomlife.coach, and her Cash App is $ Venus Black and PayPal.me/Portia. Okay.
Thank you for taking the time, to read that out and to let everybody know. Because, at the end of the day, I just want people to get the information, and I want to leave them with this little trick that they
Well,
can
we're
do
not
to
quite
help.
finished yet. The
Well,
show ain't
well,
over yet.
well, I
The
want to
show
give
ain't
them a
over
little
yet.
something. Okay, I'll save it for the end. I'll save it for the end. Okay, I'm gonna give them a little trick
No,
that
no,
they can
no.
help.
Please do. No, no. Please do. Please. What would
Okay,
you say? Don't finish your thought, please.
okay. Well, I just want to give the folks a little trick that they can do. So when we think of money, the oldest form of money we've had is coins, right? Because coins have been around way before dollar bills and whatnot. So your subconscious mind is more tied to coins. So what you can do is create a little gratitude jar or thank you jar or whatever that is. Every night, I want you to put a coin in there. It can be a penny, it can be a quarter, nickel, dime, it doesn't matter. Stick it in the jar, but before you do, say a prayer of gratitude for having the money, no matter how big or small that amount is. Could be a penny. Just be grateful. Drop it in the jar, and you can hear that ching sound. That's more money being added to your bank. Do this every night. And by the end of the year, guess what? You'll have more money. Now you can't tell yourself you don't have money because obviously you do. You have a jar full. And that's what I'm saying. You have to trick your mind into believing in the change that you're trying to make now, right? So that's just one helpful way of doing it. Get a jar, get you a few coins, stop stepping over pennies because pennies got a cousin called nickel, nickel got a cousin called dime, dime got a
Mm-hmm.
cousin called a quarter. And I don't know why we think we have so much money that we can step over pennies, right? Because if you're stepping over a penny or you pick it up, guess what? You're even closer to that $1 million. It's still a form of money. So let me trust me. When you start doing this, you're going to start finding money in different places because you're tricking your mind into the fact that you have money. I remember, I think it was 2016, and I want to say that was a 7 year for me personally. It seemed like 3 months back to back, I was finding dollars everywhere. Just by doing this, I was fine. I mean, really, I literally, the wind would blow and there go a dollar in the air. I'm like, oh, there's another dollar. I wonder where this came from. And then it all culminated in me getting $10,000. One day I went to the office. I was in real estate. I didn't feel like calling many people. Made one phone call. Guy said he was trying to wholesale a house, and if I could find an investor to buy this historical place, he'd give me $10,000. Well, I knew of this one investor, but I wasn't sure if he was going to be interested in that property. Called him. Oh yeah, I would love to buy that. Da 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 da. And it was $800,000. He bought it, but the house was worth over $1 million when he purchased it. Right, the value of it. So that's the reason why he bought it. And come to find out, the guy that was wholesaling the property knew my investor client. He was like, I didn't think to call him because I didn't think that he would buy a house like that. Right. So money can be made very easily. That's my whole point. I got $10,000 for making one phone call.
In my last book, Lloyd's Book of Numbers, the numbers numerology for the 21st guide and whatnot, I actually talked about an article I wrote years ago called "The Power of the Penny." Since you mentioned that,
Mm-hmm.
one was to take a penny and double it every single day for 30 days, they will wind up with millions of dollars in their coffer. And if people don't believe me, do it for yourself. At first, it don't seem like nothing. Okay, a dollar, then the
Mhm.
next day, $2, the next day, I mean, 2 pennies, then 4 pennies. It seems like nothing. But by the time around about that 13th, 14th, 15th day,
Mhm.
things started changing. And all you got to do is double a penny.
That's
So
right.
this is why I explain in our communities, they'll have a lot of products for 99 cents. You give them $1 and walk away. And then we want to know why a couple of years later, that same store is able to open and expand because of all those pennies they've accumulated on a
That's right.
regular transactional basis.
That's right. And
How
it's amazing. And we know the power of compounding, right? And that's what we're talking about. So if you do this on a nightly basis, surely your wealth will compound. Now, it may not be in the six figures that you want just by that 1 year of saving up change, but at least you're well on your way to getting there.
I think that's a great concept. I like that. And that is compounding, but in our own special way.
Exactly.
Okay?
And then showing gratitude for the money that you have, no matter how big or small, because we get hung up on tying our self-worth to how much is in our bank account. Okay, so we need to break that because you are worth more than any dollar amount that you will ever have in your bank account because you are priceless. So how can you ever measure your self-worth up to a dollar bill?
And especially with it shrinking in its power anyway.
My point. My point, right? So we need to start looking at it as I am the wealthy one, I am the one that's deserving, I am the one that is worthy, right? Not the money. The money's going to show up as long as you feel confident about yourself. And like I said, it's all about seeing what your relationship is with money. Is money a hot lover where you're embracing it, you're loving it? I love money and money loves me. Or are you one of those people who are afraid to look at your bank account because you know you did some drama over the weekend and you don't even want to know what that looks like because you already know it's going to be a negative? Like, what is that relationship with you? Or are you the kind of person that's always pushing it away, like how I was, right? Oh, no, no, money, I don't want you today. I'll go away. And if you think about it, the only reason nobody really wants money, the only reason why you say you want the money is to get whatever it is you think you want to buy with the money that you think is
Hmm.
going to make you happy.
Hmm.
Because you really don't want the money, right? You want what money can provide you, whether that's a sense of security, affording whatever you desire, being able to travel, the freedom, right? Whatever you think that money's going to obtain is why you want the money.
How can we at least start in our community as begin to look at money totally different than just for appearance sake? We're broke as a joke, but we got the late. I had a client on Dr. Yana Woodhouse, and she was saying there was a person she knew that lived in the projects with a Maybach car. Maybach, those things are very expensive. Parked down on the block. Okay, what I'm saying? It's like our priority. I think part of it's been the programming to subtle ways to, again, I don't, money don't grow on trees. I don't have it. I don't we have anything really we can produce if we put it in our minds. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes, we are one of the most talented and resourceful people on this earth, right? On this planet. And all we need to do is look beyond what is in front of us. It goes back to, and I remember Rev B brought this up yesterday, but I heard it also sometime before that, where we say seeing is believing. How about believing is seeing? Because once I believe it, then I'll see it. But if I'm always waiting to see something before I believe it, then I'll never have what it is that I'm trying to believe in. So we need to really work on where we are as far as our emotions and money, right? When you have money in the bank, are you that, oh, it's party time kind of person? Or are you the kind of person that doesn't have money, like, oh man, I'm depressed, I can't do anything this weekend? Or are you okay either way, right? So what is your relationship with that? So checking in with your emotions and then linking that to your spending habits. Does it feel great when you have money or do you feel indifferent? Does money change you? When you have money, are you a different person or are you the same person? Right? Because remember, money is just an amplifier for your personality. People think, oh, well, rich people are mean, they're greedy, they're evil. Well, that's not the case. The money is just an amplifier for the personality that you already have. So if you're a person who does good and want to do good, well, when you get more money, guess what? You're going to do more good, right? You're going to help more people. And we need to get out of that mindset in the spiritual community, a poor righteous teacher, because that's not how God intended any of us to live, is by hand to mouth. Especially if you're doing the work to help others, then you should be getting that love back in return in the form of financial, right? Some financial means.
I have a question. This person says invest in real estate as well, because you made mention that when you got that $10,000 commission, you were actually selling real estate.
Hmm.
So over and above cryptocurrency, over and above precious metals, what about investing in real estate? At least getting a piece of land if it doesn't even have a building on it. What say
Well,
you?
go ahead.
No, I said, what say you? What do you
Oh
think?
yeah. I look, I love the idea, but we need to get out the old mindset of having to save money to go buy our first property, right? Or having to buy an actual house or a building. Because now you can invest in stocks, right? You can invest in what is called real estate investment trusts or REITs right here on the stock market. So if you want to invest in storage units, malls, shopping centers, whatever, you can buy stocks into that REIT and
You
get paid
can? You
some.
can do that?
Yes, this has been around for 20 plus 30 years. REITs, they've been around for at least 20 years. And so anybody can invest into an income producing property if you want to do it that way. Just buy shares into that REIT. And by law, they have to distribute, I think, 97% of the income that they receive. So you're going to get paid decent dividends depending on which one you invest in. And right now, storage units are very hot. So if you invest in any one of those type of REITs, then you probably should get some decent returns.
Well, I
Um,
can tell you this, there are no
mhm.
less than 7 storage unit that's been built and constructed around where I live at in New York City. No less than
Right.
about 6 or 7.
Right. They're just building and growing with storage units. So that would be a hot asset class to invest in. But there's other commercial properties that you may want, like high rise condos, apartment buildings, right? Depending on what that REIT manages, because they usually manage a certain property type. And if you're interested in that property type, you can invest in that REIT and get paid, right? Just like you're buying shares in any other corporation, but you'll get paid more, like I said, from a REIT because they have to, by law, they have to pass down 97% of their income. Now, another way to invest is on the blockchain. They have different, what we call RWA or real world asset to the blockchain. So
Hmm.
you can buy in a small portions, right? Some tokens that are tied to a real estate property. And then you'll be a landlord, still making the money, right? But not having to do anything with the property.
Is that why you have, hold up, hold up. Is that why you're giving this seminar?
I'm giving the seminar to help people overcome their limiting beliefs, not necessarily talk about investing in real estate, even though we can touch on those things. And that's what I said. I'm a wealth of knowledge when it comes to doing investments because I've been there, done that. I've already done real estate investing. I wholesaled. I did subject twos, right? So I already know how to work with the banks and get foreclosed property, short sales, and things like that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a tangible asset these days. And that's what I want to let people know. You don't have to save the tens and thousands of dollars that you think you need to do in
Yeah,
order to
because
buy
that's
a
what people are
property.
thinking. Oh, I got to come up with a whole ton of money to just get this puppy started.
No, no. And don't be afraid to leverage debt. That's another thing that wealthy people do. They know how to leverage debt,
Can you
right?
explain that, please?
Right. So
Those who
let's
don't
say
understand.
you're,
Go
so
ahead.
let's, so when I was in real estate, I would meet new investors and they were, oh, I got $100,000 cash. I want to buy some property to buy. I want to buy one property. I'm like, we're not buying one property. We're going to buy five. How am I buy five? I only have 100. Because we're going to take out loans for all five of those properties, and then you're going to put down 20,000 on each, right? And you're going to get five properties instead of one with that $100,000. And that is called leveraging debt. Wealthy people do it all the time because remember, a mortgage is positive debt, right? It's not negative because that money's coming back into your pocket. Now, a car, that's negative debt. So go buy you a car. As soon as you drive it off lot, right, value goes down.
Yeah, yeah, everybody knows that. I've heard of that forever. Yeah, as soon as it depreciates about 20, 25%, as soon as you even drive just 10 blocks away from the dealership.
Exactly. So that's the quickest way to lose your money and value is through a car. But
And
if
that's
you
the second biggest purchase behind property.
exactly, and you're going to spend way more money, and that's another thing. The mortgage industry, I'm not a big fan because you buy a $300,000 house, and by the time you make your final note, you would have paid 600,000 for that property, especially if you pay out 30 years. And that's why I always tell
Wow, that would have
people
been double.
that's what I'm trying to tell you. If we pulled up a mortgage calculator right now and I calculated a note on a 15-year or on a 30-year, you're going to see that you're going to save way more money if you do 15 years instead of 30. Now, a lot of us like to go to the 30 year because we're looking at that low number. See, we got blinders on. We're severely myopic because we only think about what's happening today. We don't look at the long term. So we're looking at the fact that if I do spread this note out 30 years, then it's only going to be $1,003. But if I do a 15 year, then it's going to cost me $1,500 a month. Screw that. Do the 15 year if you can afford it, right? And then make sure to pay it off because you're going to save yourself 15 years worth of interest and pay a lot less on that property than someone who went the full 30 years.
Because I
Now,
understand the initial money goes toward the interest first, primarily, then the principal. Is that true?
exactly, exactly. So the first, given about 10, 11 years, most of your payment will be going towards the interest. And that is the reason why a lot of these lenders write in prepayment penalties or, if you pay off early kind of penalty because they're making the most amount of money at the beginning of your loan.
Wow. I'm glad you've been on this show. I'm glad.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And I hope people can understand this now. A couple of things. This is your website, by the way. Am I
hmm
correct?
Well, yeah, that is my landing page. So if you scroll down, well, I don't know if you can scroll down, but if you scroll down, that's where you can find my products. Now, I do have a freebie for those folks because look, I'm one of those people, I'm like this. If you want to get started, you can get started today. I have a little mini ebook about power of a growth mindset, right? At least we'll get you started today on thinking about how to change the way you think if you change it to a more of a growth mindset because we're so limited in thought and we limit ourselves, right? Think about this. This quote that I have from Joe Dispenza says that your mind can either be a record of the past or a roadmap to the future. Which way are you going? Right? And so if you're looking for things to look for in the future, we need to use more intuition and not look at what happened in the past. The past is there to learn lessons from. You learn the lesson, you get what you need from it, but then you move forward. But don't bring in past luggage into new situations. And we do that a lot, even with love relationships, right? Oh, my last man cheated, the next man gonna cheat, blah, 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 blah. Because we're looking at what happened in the past instead of saying, you know what? I've learned for that. And now that I've learned, I know the signs of when someone is cheating. So if that does happen to me again, I know when to save myself out of that
And step
situation.
off.
Right, right. But we get so ingrained into the moment and the drama of the situation that we can't see beyond that.
Wow. I was always told you got to be careful what you ask for. You just might find it.
Right. And that's what sets the tone for how you will be in all your relationships. Because if the last man cheated, you haven't healed from that, you haven't recognized the lesson from that, and you're moving on to a new situation with that old baggage, guess what? Eventually you're gonna open up that old bag and start pulling out them old tools you were using, and it's
It's
gonna
almost
sever
as
the
like the
relationship.
subconscious mind is going to bring what your conscious is constantly
Because you've
teaching
already
you.
programmed it to be through your thoughts, your retained thoughts and emotion. Your beliefs are no more than a thought that you continuously continue to think. Right? Your beliefs are no more than the thought than you continuously think. Right? If I continuously think that I am a black woman here in America, then that's who I am. But nowadays, I can change that up, right? I don't have to be identified as that, right? It's however I choose to identify myself. And if I'm identifying myself with someone who has a lack mindset, poverty consciousness, ain't enough, never enough, will never be enough, then that's what I'm going to produce in my life because my subconscious mind doesn't know any other way, doesn't know to be any other way.
This person here, this is the last question. What are your thoughts on buying franchise businesses?
I think it's a great blueprint. It's better for you to buy a franchise business, one that already has a proven success record. And that way you can already have an established business model that you can, gain success from. So I'm all for it, especially if you know that it's going to be a lucrative business that or service that people definitely need.
Wow, this is great. This is great. We got to have you back on after that. But let me just do two things, please. That is now, how can people get hold of your book to download? Where should they go?
Okay. Well, go to bloomlife.me. That's where you'll find all my products. You can also sign up also for that workshop on that same platform. My ebooks are there if you want to download the free mini
Everything is
workbook.
right here.
Yep,
The,
on
the
bloom.me.
workshop, everything, to download the books. Okay.
And for the first 5 people that sign up, you will get a copy, an actual printed copy of my book, from fiat to digital. And also, I'm keeping it very small, and I will have a door prize in the workshop. So I say now, go ahead and sign up as quick as possible. Because when I say I'm keeping the group small, I'm keeping it small because I want to be able to address everyone's need. I know we'll be in a group setting, but I don't need 30, 40, 50 people in the group, right? I won't be able to address your needs. And as I said before, we're going to have 3 follow-up calls after the workshop to make sure that you're implementing the tools which you learned. And also, I can track your progress and making sure that you're having the success that you want to achieve. So, and I also have some one-on-one sessions if you want to do a one-on-one session with me, or if you want to buy a package of my one-on-one sessions. I also have it there on the bloomlife.me platform as well. So you can just go to that and download, or not download, but also register or sign up for a one-on-one session with me as well.
This is so cool, Portia. You know, I enjoyed this. Okay. Keep it real. I really, really enjoyed this. And we need to have that kind of financial sophistication because the way they're talking, things is going to be rough.
It's
And
gonna be rough.
it's so for those that are still stuck in the old mindset way of dealing and looking at their finances, those are the ones that may not survive in a for example, this Governor Gavin Newsom in California has
Hmm.
just passed a law that all people on the street, and there's so many, they call it now unhousing, some fancier word. They don't say homeless no more. They use unhoused or something like that.
Right.
Now he's now passed a law in California that people can be just simply swept up, all their property taken, stored, or either thrown away. You
That
know,
is so sad. And that's the thing, unfortunately, here in the United States, they have what's called eminent domain. So even if you do have what they call private property, the government can, if they deem necessary, take
and
your
they have
property.
done it too. They have done it. The
It's
government
it's
has
just
done it.
unfortunate. They may have done it. Yeah, they can do that. If they see, hey, we need this land for public good or for public safety or whatever that situation is, they can just take your land.
Well, that has happened in a lot of areas that were once black communities, that like black businesses, black townships, and
I
then
heard a part of Central Park was taken by some
that's
black people.
exactly right. Exactly right. Central Park used to be, before they took eminent domain and converted it into Central Park, was a strong black community.
Hmm.
So these are the kind of things. And then, like out in Queens, then they start building highways through our communities and stuff. It's a lot. But anyway,
It
so much for the
is.
history. But I want to thank you. By the way, let me do this again, please, so you know how to get in touch with this fabulous, fabulous money mindset coach, please.
And hopefully I'll get a chance to come back on before the workshop. But if not, then you guys know where to find me.
Excuse me,
Um,
that sounds like a strong hint to me. I think we're gonna make that happen. Okay.
well, let's make it happen. The workshop's on September 7th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Trust me, guys, this ain't gonna be, oh, I'm just gonna be sitting here on the Zoom call. Nah, we're gonna be working through some things, right? So don't think that you're just gonna show up for a workshop just to listen
You
to
know
me
what? You
talk.
sound like Jazz Aphrodite. When she did
Right.
her workshops, everybody got to
Well,
get,
that's my
y'all got
girl.
to
So
get serious.
I probably
Y'all got
get
to
that
get
from
serious.
her.
The
So
sister don't play. 'Cause she don't play. Okay.
no,
And
because I want to give you value. If you're paying money for my services, you're definitely going to get value out of it. And I want to make sure that whatever goal that you're trying to achieve, I want to get you that much closer to it.
all right. And as they say, thy will shall be done. Thy will be done. Okay. There is no question. Let me just put this up one more time, please, before I let you go. Please, everybody, for those who are interested in being much better with the mindset, changing the mindset, especially the way we look at money, this is the place to go. And it starts on Saturday, September the 7th. CST time, that's Central Standard Time.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's 10 a.m. your time. What time would it be here on the East Coast?
11.
11. Okay, so there's 1 hour difference. Okay. So it's 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, good. That way we know, because we don't want nobody to say, man, we missed the time and whatnot. Okay, good.
No,
And
and I
that,
know it doesn't say it on the flyer, but you do get 3 group follow-up coaching calls along for that price. So 278 for learning how to change your life and making more money. I mean, It's really a no-brainer, and you're getting 4 sessions actually.
And the fee adds up to an 8, which is a money number. So I think that's cool. And it'll be an 8 universal month for September.
Well, I'm learning from the
Of that.
best, so
And
you
it'll be
know.
a 6 universal day, which is a money day.
Which would be a money day. Yeah. So it all works out. And that's another thing that I want to help guide people into is, what days are more favorable and what numbers work for them as well. But that's at a later time, right? So, but right
Yeah.
now we're gonna focus on getting your money mindset right so you can attract the abundance and wealth that you deserve in your life. And don't forget my tip about creating your gratitude jar and dropping change in there every night. One coin. It doesn't have to be, a quarter every time. It can be a penny. But as long as you're doing it every night, the habit.
And please download this her book from fiat to digital, because everything, and the banks have been telling people kind of like slowly but not in more for years that everything is going to start going digital.
Well, let me tell you this: the bank in Japan, and didn't the economy in Japan just crash? Right? Their economy just crashed, and so they're not the only country that's going to experience that. We have so many banks on the list that's teetering right on the verge of a break of a bailout because the interest rates have been high, and everybody's begging who Jerome Powell at the Fed Reserve to lower the interest rate. Once he does that, that's still not going to help the economy.
Yeah, and
Right?
he's supposed to have this decision or meeting or grand whatever it is in September, and that's still no guarantee.
No guarantees with that. So if you know, like I know, it's better to let go of those dead presidents, start embracing this newer digital currency, and living your life to the fullest as far as how much you can make and what you deserve in your life. Because trust me, the kingdom of heaven is here and now, but it's your mind that determines whether or not you're living in heaven or hell.
With that, I think we better start looking at life a whole different way. Okay. Thank you so much. Love you much,
Well,
Portia. This
I
is
love
great.
you too.
Thank you so much. And
And thank you to everyone in the audience. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Jazz, for moderating. I really appreciate
oh,
that.
Jazz is my girl. So I'm by the way, let me say this too. Jazz, can you put up how people can get your book? I know they can hear it on audio, but I think you might still have a couple of books left. So if you could put that link so those people can have it. I have proudly to say the soft cover and hardcover edition
I
of the
had
book.
that book too. Yeah,
Okay.
I love it.
That's how it is. It's an excellent book. It should be made into a movie. It'd probably be really juicy too.
I think it
Okay.
would.
Yeah. So anyway, Portia, thank you so much, dear. And you have a blessed
Thank you,
day.
Lloyd.
You take good care of yourself.
Peace and
And
blessings, everyone.
yes, and can you just give me a gentle reminder just before the 7th of September? So at least if not the whole show, I can at least bring you back to remind people, for those of you who want to change your mindset of how you look at money and making money as you move forward in this crazy world of finances, what they need to do to keep their head above water. Because things are going to
Exactly.
get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I don't want you to survive. I want you to thrive, right? Because we're tired of surviving, right? We're sick and tired of that. We need to get out of survival mode. We need
Thank
to get into
you.
thriving mode.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I knew I liked you in the first place. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, and peace and blessings. And yes, we'll be in touch. I'm going to speak with you tomorrow.
Yes. And if you could hold on 1 second, I'll be right with you.
Okay.
All right, everybody. She is going to be back. I guarantee you. So you can all, and let me just put this up again, please. For those that want to even kind of get up to date with this, please, this is how you get it. You go to Bloom Life, BLOOMLIFE.me, and to download this, or better yet, please, you can register and sign up for our website to begin to learn how to change your mindset. Believe me, this is an extremely small investment that will change the whole prospect of how you look and how you keep money in your pocket. And maybe it could be the start of us learning how to work on generational wealth, as they like to talk about nowadays too. But please do. But I do want to say that the show has been brought to you by my sponsors. I'm going to work backwards this time. That is King Simon. That's my buddy, my brother. He's going to have a big event coming down with Billy Carson in Florida the first weekend, I think in August. I think it's this weekend. And I know somebody who already won tickets to go to Florida to be a part of the event. Um, Also, Reza Islam, I keep wanting to call the brother doctor. He's, he may not have those paper doctors, but the brother is so knowledgeable, he might as well be a doctor. But His supplements are just really, really out of this world. And all you do when you order the supplements from intellectualpowers.net, please, if you don't mind, put in the code number so you can get yourself a discount. Um, Manifest on Purpose. Um, in fact, if you listen every Monday, every Wednesday morning, you can learn about the subconscious mind. She is a storyteller. And the thing I like about what she does is she tells stories from her own experience that tend to have a universal impact when you really think about it. So it's amazing. And also in August, I'm going to have this lady who's the founder. Well, actually, her father founded it 50 years ago, and she's still carrying on the legacy of her father, Nicholas Brooklyn. It used to be Nicholas Books, but it was always Nicholas. But now it's Nicholas Brooklyn at 1396 Fulton Street. I was there yesterday. It was really, 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 really awesome. So everybody, I do want to thank you. And by the way, before you go, uh, this time next week, right now, this is July's a wrap. Okay. We only got 2 more days before this month comes to a close. But for those of you, you should have gotten your free monthly newsletter. And for those of you who want to hear the July forecast, and by the way, on August the 1st, I do believe later on this week, you'll hear the forecast for August. We've already recorded that, and you'll be getting a newsletter. And what happens is when you get to the site itself, you'll see that all the signs have been pre-programmed for you. So for those of you who feel your sun is important, fine. Your moon is important, go to that. Or your ascendant is important, go to that first. But Miss Kimberly and I do this it only started out as just, hey, can you do it for January? And it's been something ever since. But everybody, I want to thank you. Wednesday. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do readings. I'm going to talk about this thing that I was thinking about air sign presidents and assassinations and attempted assassinations, and a whole lot more. But I'll be taking your readings and answering your questions too. But in the meantime, everybody, I want to thank you very, very much. And by the way, for those of you, this is definitely a special thanks for all of you who've been downloading the app. It is improving day by day, week by week, which I'm so happy for. And if you should have any problems, let me know by sending it to a star8llc@gmail.com so I can pass it on to my developers. The nice thing is I'm getting less of these responses, which means it's getting better and better, which is what I want. But for those of you who do download it, please give it a 5-star rating, and that will help too. Okay, so everybody, thank you. This is great. This is great, and I gotta thank Porcha Cooper. That was like excellent. So everybody, start getting your financial house in order, because there is going to be a day of reckoning in the financial world that we have no control over. But by being prepared, we know. Okay, it's almost like the Titanic is sinking, but you have a lifeboat to get on. This is going to be important. Okay, everybody, have a blessed day. Until then.